The gentleman from Arizona reserves. For what purpose does the gentleman from New York seek recognition?
Mr. Chairman, I claim the time in opposition.
Recognized for 5 minutes.
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I noted in our debate on REINS last night, the REINS Act is aimed at undermining and frustrating the purpose of government by grinding federal rulemaking to a halt. By lowering the threshold of this dangerous bill from $100 million to $50 million, this amendment would make the REINS Act even more destructive. I accordingly oppose this amendment for the same reasons I oppose the REINS Act writ large. By requiring Congress to vote to approve and for the President to sign a resolution of approval for any major rule from the executive branch, we will be putting our constituents in harm's way. Just last week, we saw how a small faction of far-right Republicans can hold the legislative process in the House hostage, all to make a point to the Speaker. I oppose this amendment and the efforts of the majority to make the functions of government more political and subject to the whims of individual members of Congress. I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Arizona is recognized.
Is the gentleman prepared to close? Okay. Then I'm going to reserve and let him go first.
Yes. From Arizona is recognized.
Reserve.
Gentleman reserved. Gentleman from New York has the right to close.
Okay. Because he's in opposition, that's right.
Gentleman from Arizona is recognized.
Thank you. How much time do I have left? How fast?
3.5 minutes.
It's like all day, right? Yeah. So when we start looking at the regulatory environment, and you start talking about $1 trillion worth of regulation being piled up by the Biden administration, $1 trillion, you wonder why there's a persistence in inflation. That is one of the reasons. But I want to talk about something that my colleague said just a moment ago. He said, if you constrain the bureaucracy from making rules, somehow you are thwarting the purpose of government. Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you what the purpose of government is. The purpose of government is to protect the rights and liberty of the American citizen. It is when you delegate from this body, who are elected by the people we represent, when you delegate to executive agencies and you give them carte blanche, which is basically what we do. We rarely even do a CRA. You are undermining that liberty, that freedom. That is one of the most insidious problems of this runaway regulatory bureaucracy that we have today. My amendment simply says, if you're going to impact the United States of America economy by more than $50 million, we, the people's representatives, should be okaying that regulation that ostensibly is going to be made and produced by people who are experts. Well, then let the people's representatives adjudicate through a vote whether we agree with the so-called experts. And then we'll be the ones who are held accountable, and we're the ones who should be held accountable. I urge everyone to vote for my amendment. I yield back.
Gentleman from New York is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, the central fallacy of the REINS Act, I noted last night, the central fallacy of the REINS Act is that Congress can possibly legislate on all the things, on all the regulations that we have. There are thousands of regulations, and there must be for the safety of our people. How many parts per billion of arsenic in the atmosphere is safe? Is it 15? Is it 20? Is it 200? No one in this body has the expertise to say that, but there are experts in the agencies who are trained to do that. How much exposure to radiation from X-rays is safe for an individual? We are not competent to do that, to decide that. That's why Congress has delegated, over the years, these decisions to agencies to make on our behalf. We write the general law, and we delegate the general power to decide these specific questions, And they do. The central fallacy of the REINS Act is that it would make us try to make decisions on all of this. That's bad enough. The REINS Act now says you have to have Congress vote on every decision over $100 million. That's bad enough. This amendment would make it over $50 million, makes it even worse. So I oppose this amendment as I oppose the act. And I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields